What was it like working for Dale Earnhardt?
Ooh, it was tough. You know, I heard this the other day. He carried carries the Intimidator logo, or the nickname. Well, he is intimidating. But that's what he was back then. He walked into the room, whether he walked in a room with board members or he walked in a room with crew members. He got your attention. And you paid attention to him. So that was neat. I'm really glad I got to be a part of that. The program when it was successful. He wasn't hard to work for because you didn't see him that much. He'd come through the shop. He's always there in the mornings, coming through. If he was in town, he'd always be there in the mornings. Sometimes we usually had a morning meeting. Sometimes he'd pop in a meeting, so he's always there. You see him a lot, but you didn't see him you didn't interact with him from a working standpoint, The one time that we went to Daytona was terrible. Almost missed the race with Steve early on. Might have even been that same year. I can't remember exactly. And I'm complaining like hell about the motor program and just to tie an horse. Boy, he come to me the next day. He was, that Monday, he was so mad at me for bitching about the motors. But we're going to fix that, he said. We're going to fix that problem. Don't you worry about that no more. Don't complain about it at the racetrack anymore either. And he did. We know they devoted more money to the engine, to restrictor plate engines. So that was one thing about it. If you had problems, you felt like they needed to address. From a company standpoint, whether it's bodies, they addressed it. They worked hard. That was a good group of racing people. A good group of racers, as you hear a lot. You always hear that term a lot. So, but that was neat working for him. Like I said, very intimidating, but by no for sure. But you learned to you couldn't if you had something to say, you had to say it. If you had feelings that you need to be said, you need to say it. Even if it was to the point of we just need a little more money, a little more budget right here to go do this, and that's what 9 times out of 10 he's going to go work on that budget, and that's like the restrictor plate motor program, that was by hands down one of the best restrictor plate motor programs we had back then, as far as in the industry.
Again, another tough question, and I apologize, but 2001 Daytona 500, what do you remember about that day?
Golly, it was crazy, isn't it? It's one of those deals where you just didn't want to believe it. You just did not want to believe it, and we heard pretty quick that we, through I don't know if it's through Dale Jr. or what it was. We heard pretty quick that we had lost him. And then that was, it was devastating, just unbelievable, devastating. Just couldn't believe it. Many times if you watch somebody wreck and watch wrecks, it wouldn't be one you'd think you'd lose somebody's life. It was just devastating. My wife and 2 little boys are there. We had a motorhome there. They were all there, and I had to fly back. We ended up delayed the plane on leaving, but still flew back. And then, it was just devastating. Still is. The sport misses him too, for sure.
Was there a sense for you that you had been through that because you had experienced something very, very similar to that?
Oh yeah, that's for sure. It was wasn't any easier, that's for sure. Though it was definitely tough. Alan's loss is the biggest loss of my life from a family members or whatever. That's the hardest thing I've ever went through. Dale's is a tough loss because he's so big in the sport and such a big individual from a carried so much clout and everything. Just to lose him was just unbelievable.